Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nisha Charachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramannasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmiham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Hari Om everyone. So we had seen verse number 10, which was summarized, and the idea that was conveyed in that verse was Ahankara is the one that goes through all different states of experiences. Two states or three of the states were taken as an example. Means when Ahankara is in Laya Avastha, not Vicheda. Vicheda means it has completely gone out. Like in the case of death. But now it is only Laya. Laya means it has gone to sleep, because of which body doesn't show any sentiency. It's not able to act. Pranas are going on and all other nails are growing, hair is growing in deep sleep. That is because Ahankara is in only unmanifest form. It has not disappeared anywhere. But one more point over this is that Bhagwan has made such an arrangement that our karma phalas come to us fortunately only during dream and waking. He has kept one time in our daily routine where there is no entry of karma phala. That is called as deep sleep. Because there is no karta, that is why there is nobody to do bhoga, experience of karma phala. Karta means experiencer, pramata or ahankara whom we are seeing. Since ahankara is unmanifest, karma phalas also don't have a place to go or find an experiencer. That is why deep sleep is a very blissful state where no karma phala is touched to this jiva, and what is there is only the reflection of consciousness, which is sakshi. Sakshi is the consciousness, reflection of it is there in this antahkarana. I hope the word antahkarana is also not confusing, because in Drigdrishya Viveka, our Vidyaranya Swamiji calls it as buddhi. I hope whenever I use the word antahkarana, we should understand in what context are we using it. Inner equipment, that is the best way to look at it. So this is something we should not miss, that all experiences are experienced by ahankara, I as sakshi. When we did that seer seen pair, right? That third seer seen pair, whom we established as absolute seer, that absolute seer is unaffected by drushya. Means whatever is seen in this ahankara also. Good ahankara, not so good ahankara, angry ahankara, quiet ahankara, all are different types of drushya only. And more our mind is quiet, more we'll be able to own up this idea. But why does it appear that way? I don't feel like I am not going through experiences, I am witness of experiences. That occurs because of this mix-up which is happening. Then we saw the shloka, we'll chant together. Antahkarana vrittischa chitichhayaikyamagata vasanah kalpayet swapne bodhe kshair vishayan bahihi. Now somebody had asked Vidyaranya Swamiji that you had split your antahkarana or buddhi into two parts, right? One is called as ahankara, another is called as antahkarana in Drigdrishya Viveka. So you spoke about the first part, ahankara, you said everything. Now what about antahkarana? So that is this verse. So he goes back to verse number 6 now and connects the thread for the remaining portion of buddhi. Just like ahankara had reflection of consciousness, ahankara means the left portion, the semicircle. Just as ahankara, the inert matter, had reflection of consciousness and it was called sabhasa ahankara. In the same way, the antahkarana, which is there, that with reflection of consciousness is called sabhasa antahkarana. Sabhasa means what? Abhasena saha. Abhasa means reflected consciousness. Along with that, both this entity is called as sabhasa antahkarana. So now you look at the verse, antahkarana vrittischa chitichhayekya magata. So the vrittis which are there in antahkarana. Okay, now all vrittis Vidyaranya Swamiji has classified in antahkarana. And I thought which is there, aham vritti, that he has classified in ahankara. Now he is talking about the right hand side, the blue semicircle. He says antahkarana vrittischa chitichhayekya magata. It has come together with reflected consciousness. It is always together. Because whenever the medium is available, reflected consciousness is always there. So secondarily, you can just use the word antahkarana. Always we don't have to say sabhasa antahkarana. It is understood that whenever we use the word antahkarana, it is always with reflected consciousness. Now what does it do? Vasana kalpayet swapne. In dream, vasanas with the help of vritti creates the dream world. There are so many vrittis, but it is the vasana which brings out a distinction, between different types of thoughts. Based on our impressions, we are able to see the dream. And there is no physical object there, just based on samskara or vasana, this mind is able to project. Antahkarana projects all these different objects. Just like here, you see that car, there is no actual car in dream, it is only samskara of car. Impression of a car that I have seen in waking, that we are seeing in dream. Now next line is tricky. Vasana kalpayet swapne, we can understand. That dream is projected only by mind or vasanas. Vasanas along with mind is projecting dream. Now he says, bodhe kshair vishayan bahihi. Outer world also is projected by same vasanas along with vritti. Now this statement needs more thinking. But one thing he adds here is, it is not directly projected, but there are sense organs which are involved in between. So dream is projected only with thoughts, waking world is projected with sense organs and thought. And then object outside is projected. Now let us see, okay. First let us see the dream one. It's easier, then we can understand the second one. Guruji has given this beautiful example. The dream world is projected by vasanas, right? So he gives example of a movie theater. So on the right hand side, you have the movie hall and the screen. Okay, we are more interested in the screen, nothing else in that movie theater. And the thing that is projecting that movie is that projector, right? This is that projector there. And on top of that, you have the spool. I don't know what they call it. Let's call it the reel or the spool, which has all the impressions. Okay, so he says vasanas are like that. But none of this by itself can directly project the movie. It needs that bulb, right, that illumines that screen, illumines that reel. So that bulb is needed, which is the reflected consciousness. So when everything is set in this way, then you have projection of a movie. And it is not only any ordinary movie in dream, it is a movie with special effects. Means a dream, it is not just what we have seen in the world outside, it has lot of special effects going along with it. So now what is the uniqueness of this example? Everybody might have a projector, everybody might have the same bulb. What makes the difference between each projection is that reel. In the same way, we all have the same instruments, we all have the same inner equipment made up of same material, apanchikrita pancha mahabhuta, right? I didn't explain that word before, but I hope you all have seen it somewhere in Tattva Bodha or somewhere, that mind is made up of subtle aspect of 5 elements. Now that equipment is same for everybody, but the vasanas which are there, that is different. That is what decides what kind of thoughts we have, what kind of dream we see. All of that is decided by those vasanas. And you see this movie example, the sequence of projecting the movie can be different than the way in which it was filmed. Means you might have filmed one part before the second, but you can flip it while projecting it, right? So in the dream also, what we see in the waking world, it is not that in the same sequence this dream is getting projected. It's all mixed up. One thing is in front, second thing is behind it. Everything is all mixed up. But you can add some special effects, like in a movie, when that movie is projected, although you cannot add anything new. Okay, so whatever has been recorded with that camera in that reel, only that can be played. So when a movie is getting projected, if you feel a scene is not good, you cannot change it at that time, because that is what is only there in that reel. So here also, whatever we have seen in waking world, only that samskara is thrown up in dream. That is why we were discussing a couple of classes ago. It's a good litmus test of what we have given too much importance in waking. Okay, so this is dream world which is projected by our vasanas. Okay, this is an example of that movie projection and the projector and everything, but we should understand it more with Darshtanta. Darshtanta is dream gets projected just with the help of samskara. Now this much is easy. We don't have to do too much of elaboration. Everybody is convinced that dream is a appearance. It is not something real. It is just thoughts which are getting projected. Now the second line, what Vidyaranya Swamiji is saying, Bodhek Shair Vishayan Bahihi. That needs a little more thinking. How can we say that the waking world also is a projection? He has quietly introduced that term, Bodhek Shair Vishayan Bahihi. Bodhehe Akshaihi Vishayan Bahihi. Akshaihi means all indriyas, all sense organs. With the help of that, the same mind is projecting the outer world. Okay, let us now take a step back. What do we mean when we say waking world is also projected due to vasanas, due to mind? So here we should understand, when we say waking world is a projection of mind, it is a projection of total mind. Total mind is Bhagwan's mind, if you want to call it that way. Just as things are happening in individuality, microcosm, same things are happening in macrocosm also. So total mind's projection is this entire creation. Okay, but same thing is happening. The phenomenon is the same. Reflected consciousness is there in total mind also. And with that total reflected consciousness, we have this entire creation which is getting projected. So there are mountains, there are rivers, and this entire Brahmanda, if you want to call, that is getting projected. But one thing we should note here is this projection which is happening is not random. It is based on different jivas karma. So samashti karma, if you want to call, samashti vasanas, that is what is giving rise to appropriate environments for jivas to go and experience that. So that is why whenever Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji refers to Jagat, he refers to it as karma phala. Whatever we are seeing around us, all of it has come around to give us some kind of experience. So that is why total mind projection is called Ishvara Srishti, which is what we are seeing around us. And this is a very innocent creation. Actually speaking, this has nothing, it never binds us. What binds us is another Srishti that we overlap on this Ishvara Srishti. That is called as Jiva Srishti. So same thing, two different people are seeing it in different ways. Basically, we are living in our own world. Although experiencing same things, our idea or thought about the world is very different. Same person, 5 different people look at that person in different ways. Right? One man is there, the employee looks up to him as employer. The son is looking up to him as father. Wife is looking up to him as husband. So now Pancha Mahabhuta, if you want to call, this is just an example. Don't start calling each other Pancha Mahabhuta. Pancha Mahabhuta is only a form. On top of that form, we have superimposed our own creation. Sadhana and knowledge will take away Jiva Srishti. First of all, Jiva Srishti will be removed to a large extent. Means I won't have my own painting of Raga Dvesha on top of Bhagwan's creation. That is the role of different sadhanas, and the final seal on that sadhana or final seal on that understanding is through knowledge. By understanding that I alone, I means what? Sakshi alone is appearing as this entire creation. Then what is it that I am having like towards, dislike towards? Tato na vijugupsate. Ishavasya Upanishad, Phalashruti is that person who is seeing oneness in everything as that substratum, and seeing that consciousness which is pervading this entire creation is my own self, towards whom will this person feel jealous against? So this is that Jiva Srishti which has been removed to a large extent. And whatever is appearing, that is also known as a projection. That is the most important point. It is not a very solid substance. How much reality we give, thinking that that is the only reality, Vedanta wants us to think a little more. This is where that dream example is very helpful, where whatever things that are understood in dream, same things can be applied in waking. The most important one is Drishyatva. Drishyatva means dream becomes seen. In the same way, different things of waking world are also seen, so it is not independent reality. Okay, just as dream is not, it's only projection, and what is the reality is the waking mind. Waking mind alone is projecting dream. In the same way, see, example and what is being pointed out, they cannot be exactly the same. Huh? Whereas here, what are we trying to point out? That everything, including the waking mind, is a projection of consciousness. Dream was a projection of waking mind. Whereas this entire creation is a projection of Sakshi with the help of total mind. Individual mind is included in that also. Okay, so that is how we can look at Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. But in simple way, if you want to understand, look at this entire creation, which is Pancha Mahabhuta. That is a projection of total mind. And on top of that, we have superimposed our own likes and dislikes. Okay, that is the difference between Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. In that way, Bodhe Akshaihi Vishayan Bahihi. Means this same vasanas has given rise to this creation. Samashti Vasana you call, or Karma Phala. For us to experience Karma Phala, this entire creation has come about. No doubt we experience it through sense organs, but it is only a projection. Okay, so now some more points about this vasana. What is the practical aspect of it now? Okay, before we go there, one more way to understand this. When we say waking world is also projected due to vasanas, or waking world is also nothing but the mind, another way to look at it is waking world is experienced only when there is a thought. Thought is there, world is there. Thought is not there, we cannot experience the world. So, outside world is recognized only through thoughts. This is another way of looking at it, that when we say Bodhe Ikshar Vishayan Bahihi, right? When it is said outer world is, so nothing but thoughts, what it means is this: without a thought, we are not experiencing anything outside. Basically, what are we experiencing? We are experiencing a thought. We say that we are experiencing an object, but actually we are experiencing thought of that object. In dream, if somebody tells us that you are dreaming, we won't believe it, because everything is happening very real, in the same way it is happening, just as we would experience in waking state. In the same way, in waking also, if somebody tells us that there is a higher reality that you have to awaken to, but not by going in a different state, not by going to another third state, by knowledge that this reality is pervading all states that we are in, and everything that is seen is an appearance in that reality. So if somebody says this, unless we have done thorough Shravanam and understood how this is all happening, then just like in dream, we would say, don't try to tell me anything. This is real. So in waking also, one person can say that, but we should keep thinking more and more about it. Okay. Some thoughts about this samskara and vasana. Whatever thought comes in our mind, that thought leaves a samskara. So samskara, vasanas, I'm using it interchangeably. Huh? Both mean the same. Whatever thought comes to our mind leaves an impression. And the practical application of that is, according to the situation outside, corresponding samskaras are manifest. Means, if there is some samskara that is hidden in us, right? Only when a conducive atmosphere is available, that samskara will manifest. Otherwise, it will remain hidden where it is, which is okay, because there are so many samskaras that we have gathered, which if it stays quiet, it is good. So we should be very careful about the triggers of inauspicious samskaras. Because this is where we have a choice. Like Bhagwan in Bhagavad Gita, after in Sthita Prajna Lakshana, when he is talking about how can we be established in this knowledge, you'll be surprised to read Bhagwan is talking about sense control. Now, somebody might wonder, now this is talking about a jnani, right? Somebody who has gained this knowledge and everything. Why is Bhagwan indicating nature of, or qualities of Jivan Mukta, Sthita Prajna, with the help of qualities which are referring to one who is able to withdraw his senses whenever he wants? Why is he referring those qualities as Lakshana of Sthita Prajna? Answer is this, that if samskaras which are there, if they get atmosphere by which they can come back again, manifest again, everything that has been gained, there is a fear of losing it. All sadhana that is done, so many things which have been slowly gathered, so those can very well get washed away. And this we all have to think for ourselves, what are our weak areas? And each weak area will have its corresponding trigger. So that trigger point, if we can stay away from, then it is said these vasanas will not bother too much. But most importantly, other vasanas, Shubha vasanas or Shubha samskaras which are there, they should be strengthened so that according to that environment, those vasanas will get prompted. Means we can live a happy life with, in spite of having different kinds of samskaras. So this is that point. And when we pray in Shiva Sankalpa Suktam, right? Tanme manah Shiva Sankalpamastu. Means Bhagwan, there are so many vasanas inside. May you trigger only auspicious vasanas. That is a prayer. Sometimes when we are presenting something or discussing something very important with somebody, if we have, let us say, some weakness to get angry very soon, now that whole conversation, it might be a very important business deal, it can get tossed out of the door if that samskara gets triggered at that point. So practical implication of this point is to make sure that we stay away from those triggers and constantly keep working. Whatever Ashubha vasanas are there, to substitute them with Shubha vasanas. This is a very important point. Samskaras or vasanas can be changed. They can be regulated, they can be replaced. Karma phala cannot be changed. Karma phala is what has appeared in front of me, the situation, the circumstance, the people, all of that will fall under karma phala. That cannot be changed. But what we have control over is our samskaras. Samskara means, how is my response going to be this time? Am I going to take support of Ashubha Vasana to respond? Or am I going to take support of Shubha Vasana to respond? So that is another way of looking at it, but also very important when it comes to sadhana, knowing that each and every thought that we are entertaining is leaving an impression. Before it goes away, it doesn't go away that easily. It leaves some kind of taste, a lingering taste, and then it goes away. All right, we'll just, this is the last verse now, which will conclude this topic. Who is the one who is going through experiences? So this we will see next time. Okay, and Bhagwan is, Vidyaranya Swamiji is concluding that chain of thought. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So we'll take a couple of questions. Let me stop my screen share. This question is a very interesting one, and it keeps coming to many sadhakas, not once, not twice, but for several years. And it must have come to all of us at some point, or it is going to come if it has not come yet. But we should understand this answer clearly and try to align our thinking with what Upanishads want us to think. Okay, so listen the question carefully. Can we ever experience that we are Sakshi? Currently, it seems just theoretical. In my dream state, I can never understand my waking state. And only in waking state do I understand unreality of dream experience. So from my current identification with Sakshi, how do I experience my true nature? So you see, there are different parts here of the question. One part is, okay, I have heard Drugdrisha Viveka. We have come to 11th shloka now. You say there is some Sakshi, I am Sakshi and everything. It all looks like a theoretical understanding that you are telling. I am telling in short, Vidyaranya Swamiji is telling. But how do I actually experience that? Okay, let us take the theoretical part first. You remember the first few classes when we went between those seer-seen pairs, right? Different seer-seen pairs we saw. What was the one of the rules? If there is a scene, there has to be a seer which is different from that scene, right? So what was the first example we took? Let us say you take a flower. Flower is the scene. Now if there is a scene, a seer has to be there who is different from that scene. So we said eyes are the seer. Now in this pair, what is theoretical and what is practical? It is a matter of fact, right? It is not a theoretical knowledge. Right now you are seeing something. If you are seeing an object, it means we have eyes. Now second seer-seen pair you take. If ability of eyes, if I take out my glasses, I feel like it is blurry. If I put it back, I feel it is, very nicely I can see. That is the scene. Seer is the mind. So who is seeing those things? It is a mind, right? Seer is the mind. Seen is ability of the eye to be clear and blurry. Now here also you think, is it practical or theoretical? What happens is in the third seer-seen pair, right? We can easily understand these two seer-seen pairs. Third one is where we think it is only theoretical. When we say thoughts are seen, there is a seer who is different from these thoughts and of the nature of Sakshi. If we have understood this logic, and if we have understood that Vedanta is the pramana for us to recognize our true nature, then this will be very clear. Whenever we say Jnana Marga, it will always reveal something which is already matter of fact. Means Sakshi is already experienced, Vedanta is just helping us shift our attention to Sakshi. Okay, first of all, I hope that theoretical aspect is clarified here. Knowledge will always be knowledge only. It is not theory and practice. If I have to, let us say, cook something, right? First, I need to take a recipe book. I need to understand what are the ingredients, in what order I should do. Now, in that case, knowing alone is not going to suffice. After knowing, I have to go and do something. I have to light the stove and, do all the things. That is when I can say cooking is complete. So when it's related to objects which are, of this world, which are to be gained through karma, that is when we need knowledge and then we need to do something to get it. But when it comes to Sakshi, Sakshi is not another object, just like this, food that we want to make. We don't have to create Sakshi. Sakshi is already experienced. Vedanta is just helping us understand what is the nature of that Sakshi. Okay, that is this theoretical and practical part. More we are able to think in this way, we will not struggle in sadhana. We will not struggle in knowing what is nature of liberation. Otherwise, always we will have this thought that I know that I am Sakshi, but I'm not experiencing Sakshi. Right? So don't mix it up with too many things. Seer of thought is Sakshi. That is why Drugdrishya Viveka's method of teaching is very direct. Now comes the question, what is the nature of Sakshi? Now, second part, why am I not experiencing Sakshi? This we saw in the last class also. To experience something, it has to become an object of experience. And what is the nature of Sakshi? Drugeva natu drushyate. It will never become seen. It will never become an object of experience. So how are we going to experience it as different from ourselves? And this is what we saw in nature of Sakshi, right? Nirakara, Nirvikara. It is without any attributes. So without something which is without attributes, you cannot make it as an object of senses. Each and every sense organ will be able to grasp only something which is having some attribute. Okay, so in that way, we should look at it. So this will help in thinking that we don't need to get any unique experience. But on the other side, let us think, why would a sadhaka get such a question? All of us get this, it is not only some people get. This is this question we struggle with so many times, but we should understand where is the root of this question coming from. See, root of the question is here. When Vedanta says Sakshi is Ananda Swarupa, Sakshi is that infinite which is of the nature of bliss. And when I look at myself, I don't feel that way. So when I look at myself, I don't feel like I am Ananda Swarupa. So here what is happening, now you look at Drugdrishya Viveka terminology only. When I say I am not experiencing happiness or I am disturbed, what I am looking at is the reflection. There was the sun and the reflection of the sun, right? So when I say I am not experiencing happiness, I am looking at that reflection and saying I am not experiencing calmness. This is why there is an insistence sometimes that I need to experience that Sakshi, which is of the nature of bliss. So this we saw previously also. If at the nature of reflection, if we want calmness, that is role of sadhana. And that should be done. In fact, a mind which is calm and quiet, only that mind will be able to appreciate this, difference between reflection and original. Shravanam will be more thorough in this quiet mind, and recollection of this knowledge will be easier in a quiet mind. Okay, so that is where this root of the question lies sometimes. We always want to experience Sakshi. We think that this knowledge is theoretical because we are not seeing the result of this knowledge in our mind. So that both aspects have to be taken care of. Mind should be quietened. Any sadhana, it could be even nama japa. We don't have to start some new sadhana now. Whatever we have been doing, right? Either it is chanting stotram, we should put more life into that sadhana. We should bring more conviction such that mind becomes focused around Bhagavan while we are chanting, while we are doing japa. So with this, when we again do Shravanam, then we'll be able to distance ourselves from this mind. Right now what is happening is, mind needs that kind of support, right? It is not able to directly, own up that, my nature is Sakshi. There are some agitation, there are different things that we are seeing at mind level. So accordingly, there has to be a solution for that. Okay. But this is the power of knowledge. If we thoroughly understand, I am Sakshi, even if my mind is quiet, and even sometimes if it is agitated. I am unaffected by agitations of the mind. It's a great power to a sadhaka to come out of agitation also. Not giving too much importance to this mind. Having done sadhana, if mind is quiet, that doesn't mean I have become a greater or better Sakshi. If mind is agitated, doesn't also mean that we have fallen from our state. It's a fine balance. More we can think and own it up, better it is. Okay, I see a lot of questions in the chat. I had one more here from the Q&A that was submitted. I'll be quick in this one. It says thoughts are, this is the second question, thoughts seem to be either situation related or body related. Basically tied to Jiva's Janma. The only exception seems to be devotional or sattvic thoughts. Why do we say that? Why do we then say that mind is part of subtle body? I'm finding this difficult to reconcile because subtle body moves from Janma to Janma. Actually, this is not fully true. We think it is this way. We think that thoughts are only related to body or situations. This is where definition of a thought is helpful. Vritti, which is a thought, will always have a Vishaya. Vishaya means an object. And that object could be something of the gross world, or it could be something of subtle world. But if you go back to the verse that we just saw, it says whatever we are seeing in subtle world is an impression of what is seeing in waking world. Okay, so every vritti will have some Vishaya. So that is why vritti will always be part of subtle body. You will not have some vritti which is just not having any Vishaya. Even Brahmakara vritti, it is said, has Brahma as Vishaya. What to talk about other vrittis, right? And what goes from Janma to Janma is subtle body. That is true. Okay, so it is not tied with. So I think the confusion is coming because we are thinking that vrittis are only, driven by external world. So vritti should not be part of subtle body. It should be part of gross body. So no, objects are outside, but thoughts are experienced inside. Right? Means it is part of antahkarana. So that way we can understand. Okay, let me see if there are any quick questions. This is with regards to Puja Gurudev's BMI chart. So Sadhaka is asking, I'm trying to equate the different terms we are studying to Puja Gurudev's BMI chart. Is Sakshi same as Om in BMI chart? What about PFT? Is it Ahankara or reflected consciousness? Good. So now we are trying to map things. So Om is Sakshi. Om is Atman. Whatever terms we use for pure consciousness, that Gurudev has used in Om. And when we say PFT, perceiver, feeler, thinker, it is this Ahankara. And whether it is with reflected consciousness or not, we saw the definition before. When we say the word Ahankara, it is always with reflected consciousness. Ability of Ahankara to perceive, to feel, and to think comes from reflected consciousness. It doesn't have its own ability to, it's inert by itself. Right? So that is how we should look at it. And vasanas, what we saw, that also is what we are seeing right now. What Gurudev has said as we. So samashti vasanas gives rise to this creation, and vyashti vasana puts another layer on top of it. Vyashti, jiva srushti, what we saw. Okay, so others are interesting questions. I won't do justice to them if I just say one line in the time that we have. Okay, so we will pause here and I will take more of it. But please reflect on that portion of Jiva Srushti and Ishvara Srushti. And if there are questions, you can submit it on the forum. We'll see whoever can in the afternoon for Taittiriya Upanishad. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om. Hari Om.